like you said, it's a fresh start. That'll be like the title, I swear, because I'm sensing this like rejuvenation of seasons, almost like we've stepped into our current role of motherhood and like what it's felt like. Now we're kind of ready for what's next. Yeah. But it is hard to like see where it's actually taking you, even though you have a vision for it.
Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of Smashed Oranges. If you have not done so already, please leave us a like and smash that subscribe button down below. It really helps us keep bringing you fresh new content every week and our community growing.
Welcome back, you guys. Today we're going to do a little casual chit chat and kind of a bit of a life update for the two of us, because I think many of you might not have an idea of what's going on in our personal lives, and so sometimes there's some changes going on. So I guess I'm going to start with myself, because what else do I like to talk about?
Take it away. What's been happening?
So, Maddie.
I mean, I kind of already know, but give the viewers insight.
So some personal insights here. I'm going to start with my family first. Okay. So Poppy is just over 18 months old now. It's been super fun. She's been talking a lot. Her vocabulary is quite extensive for somebody
really
so small. I feel like it just budded all of a sudden, just like blossomed. And it's been super fun because our communication, I feel like she doesn't get as frustrated, and that's been really fun. And, if I don't understand her, I say, I'm sorry, I don't understand you. And so that's been really fun. But because it's been so fun, I think it's been settling in a little bit more that it's all going to change when this baby comes.
Yeah.
We are about 3 months away from baby coming, and it's starting to hit me that there's like a lot that's going to change.
There's a lot that's going to change in the next 3 months.
But, I think it's really starting to hit me that this nice little season that we're in, like I'm pregnant, but I'm not super, super uncomfortable pregnant. I can still kind of keep up with Poppy and not be miserable. And she's having a good old time. The weather's turning nice. And so that's really lovely. But just knowing that like as the summer progresses, I'm going to feel worse. The heat's going to kick in. Yeah. And it's just going to be the next chapter from there. So it's been a bit bittersweet for me, but it still has been very fun. And we are excited to introduce our baby boy. We'll see what his little personality is like. So that's been fun. Josh and I are doing well. I am still working part-time. I'm doing 1 shift a week, but it's just enough to get me out of the house and make a little bit of money, which is really nice. And it's been awesome to also feel like I'm tapping back into things that I was worried I would lose, like my creativity and like the professional side of my creativity and working with people. And, it's been really nice to realize that passion still exists within me and can be it can be used in other seasons of my life, and so that's been really fun as well. But I would say the biggest news so far is that we are most likely moving. Just kidding. We're definitely moving. We are moving.
You're moving.
We're moving. And that's been a little bit stressful because it's felt pretty sudden, but it's been the right decision for us, just the way that the cards have fallen. And so it kind of feels like a little bit of a, are we going to make it in under the wire with this baby coming in 3 months?
I feel like you will.
I really hope so. As of now, we've got a couple houses to go see. I have my hopes for a couple of them, but I really this is kind of my first time actually purchasing a house. Yeah. So because we've been in rental situations and it's been really great for our family. But now to be able to imagine our family like actually settling somewhere and growing is something that I didn't expect to be happening 3 months away from giving birth to my second baby. So I'm pretty nervous, but I'm already starting the declutter process, and that's at least something to
that I think forward. Well, because we moved like literally 6 weeks postpartum with Arden, and I was kind of like anticipating that could be a very real potential while I was pregnant. And so my nesting phase literally just looked like throwing stuff away. Yeah. Because I was like, I just like don't want to have to be either like almost 40 weeks pregnant and having to go through stuff or like, so I just like had stuff basically set up to like be thrown in boxes and like moved.
Yeah. I literally told Josh the other day, I was like, we did spend a few hours yesterday and today getting rid of a ton of stuff. And then I said, what's stopping us from just putting stuff in boxes now? Like, if we're not using it, why not?
Honestly.
Right? Like, I feel well enough. And then
let me know if you need boxes. We can hook you up with some moving boxes.
That actually would probably come in clutch because I don't know what we did with ours. But yeah, it's been a lot. I think the biggest thing for me is like thinking about the cleaning and stuff that will happen before move out. Luckily, we do have a village.
You do. And I was just about to say, like, this is probably going to be you having to call in your village to help you because you're almost, are you in the 3rd trimester yet?
Almost.
So by the time you move, chances are you're going to be 3rd trimester.
Oh, yeah.
And like, you're just going to have to like sticky note everything and then go sit down and let people move in for you. And like,
true. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I'm really hoping that everything falls the way it's meant to because I still really want to do a home birth. That's always been the plan. And it was just such a positive experience for me. So if
the christening.
Yeah, literally. That's how it was for this house.
I know it was. That's why I said it.
That's literally what we need. I'm just like, start the new chapter, new house, and
new baby.
Yeah, so that's got me a little bit like, because I don't know, it's either I give birth as we're like literally packing up our house. Or we give birth and we were just settling into our house. So fingers crossed, everybody, that I can get things moving quickly and there'll be no hiccups.
It's gonna move quick. I have a feeling. I have a good feeling about it. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the biggest news for us is now we're starting to envision future home. And as an extension of that, like what other goals we have in mind, like financially and like things.
And how does that feel?
It feels stressful in the sense that this is going to sound totally privileged, but we've never had this much pressure put on us.
Right.
Like, because then you have a mortgage that's significantly higher, I think, usually than what we've been paying rent anyways. And all the things that come with owning a house, if something breaks, you're on the hook
literally for it. There's a water stain right now on like 3 of our hardwood boards by our dishwasher.
Oh no.
And I'm just like, Omari, we have to figure out, like, is the dishwasher leaking? Because like I haven't seen water on the floor there.
Oh, that's stressful.
But like there's like now like a brown like thing on the floor. And then I'm like, well, great. We have to fix that.
Yeah.
And Omari's like, I think we can just replace those 3 boards. And I'm like,
there might be an underlying issue. No. And that's a big thing too, is the algorithm has me hooked on like the mold stuff. Because I feel like everyone's always talking about mold in their houses these days. It's like, oh, my family started feeling sick. I had all these weird symptoms.
So then I'm not going to say it's non-existent in Alberta, but Alberta is really, really dry.
That's true.
Like if you live, like I had a friend who lived in like somewhere tropical and she said like if you hung like a hat on the wall and forgot to move it for a few months, you'd like take the hat down, there'd be like mold behind the hat. Like we don't have it that bad here,
Can you imagine?
Like it's pretty dry here.
Yeah, that's so true. It does make me feel better.
Yeah.
That does make me feel better.
But it's not non-existent. So
yeah, well, especially if you have things like dripping behind your walls and stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
This is why you get a home inspection before you buy a house.
Yep, 100%.
It's worth the money.
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally sold. I'm like, there is not a single stone that will be unturned.
Yeah.
Wherever we go, I want to know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just it's just a limbo phase, right?
Yeah.
Where like the anxieties start to kind of creep up a little bit. And you're like, I don't know what I'm going to deal with. But
yeah, because you don't know where you're going to be living.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that are changing the next 3 months, but like so many parts of the puzzle that haven't like been taken out of the box yet.
Yeah, well, that's a good way to put it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of villages, like that's been a big concern for me, I guess. Like, especially going to baby number 2 is such a wild change.
Yeah.
I mean, any baby is a wild change, right? But I was just like, I don't want to move to the boonies and leave my village behind. Like this is the wrong time to be leaving the people who could like
be of support to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Even anyway,
you're not going to have to move to the boonies.
No. Well, Josh pitched moving to Rosebud, if you've ever heard of that. It's literally in the boonies of Alberta.
Like, the thing is like once you start, I don't know, I'm guilty for this. I'll be like looking on realtor.ca and like everything in Calgary, it's like $500,000 at least to like get anything that you're going to live in with 2 kids and a husband that works from home part-time and needs an off or whatever, Exactly. Like for anything 4-bedroom, you're looking at $500,000.
Easily.
Minimum. And like
for like a shoebox.
Yeah, and if it's anything less than that, it's not somewhere you want to live. Yeah. Especially like I might be moving in and need to do a home birth, but this place needs to be shoved into the ground.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. But he was like, but we'll have like 5 acres.
Yeah, but when you start looking out in the boonies, you're like, oh, we could have all this land for $500,000 and like,
oh, it's fine. I'll just free birth because nobody will be able to make it to me out there anyways. I was like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not willing. There's a lot of people that would, and I've asked myself that. I'm like, oh, could I move out to an acreage? And I've, I kind of like romanticize the idea of it a little bit, but I know myself well enough, I think, at this point, like, I need community close by. Like, I need to be able to wave my neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, I have a really hard time staying home for the entire day. Like, I need to get out at least once a day.
Yes.
And, like, out to, like, have an adult conversation, even if it's just with, like, the cashier at the grocery store or, like, the coffee barista or, like, do a lap around the farmer's market, like, go to a different place once a week or, like, see friends, go to my parents' house. Like, I need people. Yes. I don't know if I could I think I could move, like, within like 20 minutes of the city limits, but anything past that, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, because we did drive out to Rosebud when we purchased a truck secondhand off of somebody, and we like literally had to borrow gas from her. Like, we paid her for the gas, but she had like jerry cans ready to go. It's like great. I didn't we were gonna get stuck here.
Maybe it was destiny.
It was destiny.
Where were you growing up in? This is where the car broke down.
We decided this is it.
Rosebud.
Sounds so cute, but oh yeah, it was pretty funny. We're like, we better get out of here. But yeah, we'll see where we end up because I definitely want to be close enough. I've got some family in town, and I've obviously got some friends, and they're scattered throughout the city. But like you said, if you go too far in your outskirts, it's almost like, I don't know. I've had friends growing up who would move like 10 minutes away, and we'd almost never see them.
Yeah.
Because they're just like out of your sphere of influence at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I feel I have friends that live in like the deep southeast that I feel like I do see them at least like once every 2 months.
Nice. Well, it does make a difference.
Which isn't horrible. Yeah.
Because then you're in charge of like.
But the nice thing is your kids aren't like, like Poppy, Poppy hasn't made a best friend up the road, and like, she's fine.
Yeah.
She'll be fine.
Yes. And that's just the whole journey of this experience. Like, this new chapter has brought me a lot of perspective. Be like, okay, this doesn't have to be a forever home, but we do want it to be a place where our kids can somewhat grow up and we can be surrounded by other families in the same kind of season of life.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely led our decisions to like certain areas of the city or or price points and like what we're willing to compromise on, things like that. Yeah. And so, it's definitely been very eye-opening, but it's been a very bonding experience for Josh and I to get excited over just like visualizing something fresh.
Yeah.
And so that's been cool.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
It'll be fresh.
It will be fresh. And if anybody in the audience knows me for reals, I love a good like DIY. Dip my paintbrush in every once in a while. Yeah. I love some little creativity passion projects. Just keeps the dopamine flowing. I love that.
Just don't scrub the shower. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just make sure I don't do it right before I'm supposed to give birth.
Or a month out.
Or a month out. Heaven forbid. Exactly.
Take notes out of my head. Take notes in my head.
I've learned lessons for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paint, but not too aggressively.
That's right. That's right. So that's about it for us. But what about you, Maddie? Fill me in on your life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's so funny because I feel like on one hand, I don't feel like a lot has changed, but on the other hand, I feel like a lot has changed. Today I was going through Arden's old baby clothes and like packing up. I packed up a lot of them into boxes, but I was just doing some like reorg with the boxes.
Yeah.
And then, just figuring out how we're storing stuff. Cause I mean, again, like when we moved in when he was 6 weeks postpartum in with Omari's grandfather. And then Omari's grandfather moved out. And then it was like a lot of like shit. Like the previous times I've moved in, I like to move in and move in.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like I'll pull an all-nighter setting stuff up exactly where I want it.
Same.
But when we moved in, it was kind of like there was still stuff moving out. And like we were moving in. And then some of our stuff had to go into storage at my mom's and at Omari's parents. And so that it was just like a bit of like, pardon my language, but like a clusterfuck for like a good 3 months. You know, and like, so today I'm like kind of going through stuff and I'm like, oh shit, like there's still boxes I haven't unpacked and we've been here now almost, it'll be 2 years in September. So like coming up on 2 years and I'm like, oh, I forgot all of these like things that I, you know.
Right. Get tucked away
somewhere. So, but anyways, circling back to the baby clothes, I was just trying to like reorganize some stuff because there's like little corners of our house that make no sense still. But yeah, I was like, oh, like, I remember when he used to wear these clothes. And, like, that was such a different phase of life than where I'm at right now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Arden's just kind of, yeah, walking, talking, running, trying to change car tires. I, like, you know, like, I feel like he's just really coming into his personality.
Yeah.
And he's just, like, the sweetest little boy. Like, he loves giving me hugs and kisses. And, like, yeah. Like, he'll grab my face and, like...
Oh, those toddler kisses are
I know.
precious. Because, you know, they're, like, thinking about it, too. They're like,
yeah.
I actually love you.
Yeah. I know. He hasn't said I love you yet, but I'm trying to get him to do it.
He shows you.
I know. He does. He loves mommy. And, yeah, it's great. And then, yeah, I just feel like I've been, I guess, kind of since... probably the new year, just feeling, like, really in the headspace to start, like... really getting into like my physical health, you know? So I definitely feel like since the new year, I've been way more consistent with going to the gym. Since probably the April, I've been like more consistent with like eating cleaner. And when I say that, I mean like snacking less. I've been kind of playing with like some like intermittent fasting. So like not eating after 7 p.m. And then, yeah, I've also been, I'm going to be taking my Pilates teacher training.
So exciting.
So, yeah, that feels like a really exciting, new, fresh thing as well.
Yeah.
That's like not so far out of my current knowledge base that like, it's not totally uncharted territory. You know, like I've done anatomy courses in the past and like there's some anatomy and like dance teacher trainings and whatever, but like, yeah, just the thought of, like, really digging my teeth into something, like you said, like, fresh.
Yeah.
And, like, learning a new skill set that I can take with me into, like, whatever. I'm, like, still kind of, like, figuring out exactly what that is all going to shake out to be. But I think, I don't know if you're like this, but sometimes if I can't see the final picture of, like, what something's going to, like... give me or like then I find like a hard time like
getting started
or like pursuing it or like seeing the value in it, you know. And so like with this, like I do have like probably a job lined up coming out of the teacher training, which is really exciting and I'm excited about that. But Omari keeps asking me kind of like what is the other like parts of like where. Because, like, him and I have always talked about, like, it'd be really nice to eventually be able to have, like, remote income.
Yeah.
And he's like, how does Pilates fit into remote income? And I'm like, I don't... Ooh. Do you know what I'm saying?
I've got some ideas, though.
I know. I have some ideas, too. But, like, I'm like... Like, I feel like step one is just take the damn course.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the hardest part when you have, like, a new... Like you said, the fresh start. Yeah. That'll be, like, the title, I swear. Because I'm sensing this, like...
Yeah.
Rejuvenation of seasons. Yes. Almost, like... We've stepped into our current role of motherhood and like what it's felt like. Now we're kind of ready for what's next.
Yeah.
But it is hard to like see where it's actually taking you, even though you have a vision for it.
Yeah. You know, and like, yeah.
But it is really just getting started. Because I was sharing this with, I think it was one of my siblings, just about entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And how it's related because, you know, you have to gain all these different skills and you might have zero idea of what you're really doing, but you have a vision for your goal or whatever, right? And there's a stat out there that's basically like it's the people, maybe this will come across kind of harsh, but oftentimes it's the people with higher IQs that don't get started on stuff because they overanalyze and they like logic themselves out of it. Yeah. You know, and it's people who just decide to jump in and not have it all figured out that actually end up succeeding. Yeah. Because they're just like, well, we'll figure it out along the way. And again, not to put everybody in the same basket, but I genuinely think like if you start to overthink, then you just end up staying stuck. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I also like do this thing too. Like I've always had a thing for like, I think I'd be a really good real estate agent. Ooh. I'm never going to do it because I don't want the lifestyle that comes with that. But like, I think secretly I'd be really good at it because like, even I remember being like, oh gosh, like 9 or 10. And my grandfather was a realtor. Oh, and so cool. I had access to his like backhand system before. I don't even know if realtor.ca was a thing back then, like circa 2003.
I'm sure. Maybe it's around that time.
I don't know, but I remember like scrolling through and just like looking at houses. I remember like drawing floor plans of like the house I would build if I had $1 million, which was way like, it had a pool and a climbing gym and like all this crazy stuff. Not? Movie theater. You can't get that now for $1 million in this city anyways.
Yeah, not for $1 million.
Anyways, where was I going with this? But now I'll like look at the real estate market, you know? And sometimes I get like too in my head. I'm like, oh, like what if like this cool house is like gone by the time I'm like ready to buy or whatever, you know, like I like this house but I can't buy it right now. Like I have to remind myself that like the house that I'm supposed to live in isn't on the market yet. Do you know? Yeah. It's like somebody else out there hasn't gotten to the point in their life where they're ready to sell my house. Yeah. Yeah. You know?
I do know because I said something similar to Josh today when we were looking at certain listings. I was like, oh, I really like this one. Like it checks a lot of the boxes. And I was just like, I don't want to get attached to this house. Like it feels too early to get attached to this house. And he said, if it goes, it goes because there's going to be other ones out there. Yeah.
And then by the time that you're in your house, it's going to be your house. And you're going to be like, oh, thank God we didn't get that other thing. Yeah. This is literally like when me and my old roommate were like looking for apartments. We had almost signed a lease at one building, like downtown, and had like seen a trillion apartments at this point in time. And we were moving kind of like in the prime time to move in the rental market in Calgary. It was nice. It was like fresh beginning of COVID, like June 2020.
I remember that.
Everything was for rent for super cheap because people just panicked and like left. Yeah. Anyways, so we almost signed a lease, and then like the day we were about to sign the lease, we were like, oh, screw it, like let's just go see this one other place. And like we pulled up and like I don't even know, it was like magical. Like the trees were like, they weren't actually singing, but if they could sing, they would be singing. And like I just remember like I don't know what kind. There's one across your road that smells really good right now.
Oh, like a lilac tree?
Yeah, no, not a lilac tree. It's like the ones with like the white flowers.
I don't know what those are called, but they're gorgeous.
And they smell so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, there was like all these trees around the building, and we like stepped out, and I was like, you can like, it was really close to the river.
That place
was like, gorgeous. It was gorgeous.
I stepped into there. I was like, these girls are in a movie. Like literally, because when we walked to the park, I was like, dang.
I would move back there in a heartbeat, but like to live there now, like to buy one of those units, I think is like $600,000.
Oh, sure. Prime. It's so beautiful.
It's so gorgeous. That was the best year of my life.
Like I try not to romanticize it, but yeah, it was like I tell Josh every time, I'm like, I think I low-key peaked
in 2020.
Like 2020 to 2022, maybe like my peak years. Try not to let that happen. But it felt like right? Like when
we walked in and like the sun was coming through the window, and her and I looked at each other and we were like,
yeah,
this is the place.
That's what happened to our last rental too. I was like, perfect. And that's what my parents said would happen when we go to purchase a house. They're like, you know, you'll go see ones, you're like, oh, this is nice. But then you'll find the place that you're supposed to be in, and we'll be like, yeah, we both agree. Like, it's just something to it. Mm-hmm. So that'll be exciting to have that. But is that excited. How you're feeling? Are you starting to feel like inklings of that with like this next chapter?
Yes. I love it. Yeah. Like, yeah. The minute my friends started like planting seeds in my head about like teaching Pilates. I was like, yeah, that actually feels really good. Like in my body, like viscerally, it like feels good. It's only like when I get into my analytical brain and like start being like, how does this fit the bigger picture? That I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Especially when there's like that initial investment into it. Like the certification itself is not cheap. It's not meant to. It's kind of meant to be a bit of a weeder, right?
Yes.
It's like when you're in university and there's like those really hard courses and the weeder courses. Anybody else who's not fully invested, it just was like, this isn't worth it.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be awesome for you. Because when you told me, I was like, I can see it. That's perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels really good. It feels exciting and it feels new. Like, I don't know, one of my friends, I've kind of told her about it and she's like, oh, there's like a joke in the yoga teacher community that Pilates instructors just like looking at themselves in the mirror. And I was like, low key though, I do like looking at myself in the mirror. Like I do kind of enjoy that
all the time.
Yeah. Like, how's my hair? Look at my butt.
Hilarious.
I could be a Pilates girly.
I am full on invested in the Pilates trend. I have never tried it, but I
also didn't, obviously I haven't even started this training yet, but I've kind of been like doing like, just seeing what other like jobs are out there, like in the Pilates world in Calgary right now. There's like clinics that are hiring like Pilates instructors to do one-on-one training with people for like rehabilitation stuff.
I was just going to say, probably for rehab, right? Oh, that's genius. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Because it is so, I feel like it's very much more integrated, like a little more holistic, a little more full body, pelvic floor and alignment. There's just something special about like that certain niche that's different from like yoga and different from strength training. Yeah. It's kind of like married.
A little bit. Yeah. So I'm really curious to just like get more into that. Yeah. Because I could see it. It's funny. One of our listeners had actually DM'd me and said like I should go see her go to her like physio clinic that she's been using or like going to like rehab her abs and stuff. She's like, they do Pilates out of there. So I go in and do like my one-on-one with my Pilates physio, whatever. Yeah. And I was kind of like, oh, great. But like, it's on the other side of the city. So I never ended up going. But I'm like, it's interesting that like that kind of dropped in too. Because I could totally see myself like, obviously, like I've rehabbed a lot, I think, of like my core and stuff. We're still, it's a journey still. But I definitely could see that like increasing my knowledge base for that for myself. Totally. And then like being able to speak to that for like other moms that are postpartum C-section or like other birth re-strengthening things.
So valuable.
I could see myself like niching even further down into that.
And I can see you being very passionate about that because it's been such an integral part of your experience, your journey. Yeah. And I do wonder like what the stats are for Pilates instructors, like, because I feel that people kind of think of a certain image when it's like Pilates instructors, like young 20s who are just like,
got their Stanley Cups in the mirror with the like back neon lighting and they're like, Pilates girlies on a Sunday brunch,
Well, like how many moms are out there that have experienced C-sections and like traumatic birth journeys and stuff, like a lot of things that they've had to work through with their bodies to anyways come to that like feeling piece.
Well, and I think a lot of like the birth, like I was doing like a birth recovery thing online and I do think a lot of the like workouts and stuff in that program were Pilates based workouts and stuff. Yeah.
Ooh, I'm very excited for you.
I know, it's exciting. It is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just need to go home and pull the trigger on buying the course after we leave here.
Yeah. Just like stop thinking about it, right? Like pull the logic out and just do it. Because you're going to do it. It's just the buildup of like, ooh.
Yeah. It's just like pressing like register and then like seeing the money leave the bank account and then like, and then knowing that it'll be like another 3 months before I actually start teaching and like see that money come back into the bank account, Yeah.
But it is investment. I would call it entrepreneurship because like we already said, it's a skill that you can take with you and you can apply it in whatever way that suits your needs or your passions, right? Because like I have a brother who is heavily involved in like mountaineering and hiking and camping and like knows so much information on all this stuff and has like totally niched down and just brilliant. Like he writes massive spreadsheets for like the hiking trails, the elevation, what kind of gear you need to bring, what kind of shoes, how long it takes, so what the summit is, like so many different fields.
Does he do tours?
No, okay, but this leads me to my point, which is like, bro, you have so much freaking knowledge behind you now, and you love it. You're always talking about it. I'm like, you need to put this somewhere because
okay, I might have a contact for him.
See, well, that's what we're talking about, right? Yes. It's like you have to put things out there into the universe a little bit.
Yes.
And believe in yourself a little bit. Because when you have certain things that drive you, like you have to move with it. It's within you for a purpose, is what I truly believe. And this is something that Maddie and I, like you and I, we saw an Instagram reel and we were both just like, yes, this is what it's about, right? Like it's either time passes and you don't work on what is going to light the fire within you, or you do apply yourself to it, and who knows, like maybe you quit down the road, but at least like look at the things that you've gained along the way. Or you keep going. Heaven forbid you quit, but like if you keep going, where could that possibly take you?
I don't know yet
Either, but it's inspiring. Like I've always known that I wasn't going to be a traditional path taker, and it's scary for other people who do take a traditional path. Who aren't risk takers, who want to know kind of what you're saying, like who want to know the exact outcome and want to know how stable, your life is going to be. So it's scary for them to watch somebody who's more of a risk taker, a dreamer, or somebody who's like, I'm gonna see where I can go from this.
Do you think that there was a moment in your life where you realized that you were not going to follow the traditional path? Like, is there one like standout moment? Because
there wasn't until you said it. It just came to me.
Oh, okay.
Which is, it's actually a little bit ironic. So when I went to university, I was doing a music major, which is like not that great to begin with. It's not very, I wasn't going to be very rich, probably, being a music major, and I wasn't going to be super successful, most likely.
We'll never know.
We'll never know, because I ended up changing my major. And I remember receiving some backlash because I changed from music to exercise physiology, which is, again, hilarious to me now, because I feel like the movement, health, fitness community is so broad these days and so like highly sought after. Anyways, there's lots of things you could do with an exercise physiology major, especially if you were to do more programs and masters and stuff. But it was probably then when I just like threw caution to the wind. I was like, I'm going to change my major because I like the things that my roommate has said about it and it sounds interesting. And then again, it was my major, my degree progressed, I realized that I didn't want to go into like labs and more clinical settings, which is typically what you would do with exercise physiology. And I was like, I'm just gonna work with people and I want to be a trainer. And people were like, what the heck? Why? Just go work at a hospital in a lab somewhere. But I was just like, no, girl, like I can't. And so I think it's just been, a bit of a domino effect from there. It's just be like, where do my passions lie? Where do I find, I'm not gonna like hate my life for the day to day, There's gonna be times where it's just a bit of a grind. But you have to find the moments that like give you passion and fill you up within the grind.
100%.
Did you feel the same way? Like, was there a point?
Oh yeah.
For you?
Yeah. So there's kind of like, I was in university for the degree at MRU is health and physical literacy, but it's basically the equivalent of a kines degree. They just like can't call it that.
Gotcha.
For like legal reasons, you can have any like too many of the same degrees within a certain geographical location.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. Anyways.
Fascinating.
But like everything I could have done with that degree, I could have also gone and done like similar master's programs that you were going to go into. So anyways, like 6 weeks into my second year, I had a miscarriage.
Oh my gosh.
And so like that kind of sent me on a bit of a spiral, because up until that point I was kind of like, yeah, one day I'll have kids. That'd be cool. Maybe not. Like, I don't know. Like I just didn't really have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
And then after that I was like, no, like I want kids like immediately. I need to like figure my life out. And so I like switched my major and was like kind of spiraling. I worked at Lululemon at the time, and they had paid for us to go to like a personal development course after you'd worked with the company for 2 years. And a friend of mine had gone and was like, I got so much out of it. So I was like, okay, cool. It's a free trip to Vancouver. I'll go like see what it is. And like through that program, they talk a lot about like, just like, it was like the first time I felt like I ever became self-aware.
Interesting.
It was like really weird. It was like
you felt your frontal lobe develop.
Yeah, I was like all of a sudden I was like I could like see kind of the decisions I was making and like why I was making those decisions for the first time, and it like stopped coming from such an impulsive place. And I remember like coming out of that and going back into my like, it was a gen ed at MRU called Intro to Communications. And I just remember like talking to like other students in the class and being like, oh, like, why are you getting into nursing or whatever? I remember this one girl like saying to me like, oh, I'm going into nursing because like my parents want me to go into nursing. And I was like, oh, well, what would you want to do? She's like, I'd like to be a social studies teacher. I just remember like thinking in my head, like, why are you in nursing?
Oh, that's sad.
You know? And then like the nail in the coffin for me too was this prof there was like one lecture we went into and she turned on YouTube and played Brene Brown's TED Talk on vulnerability.
Oh, I love that one.
I love it. It's so great. But I'd already seen it for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I just remember like sitting there being like, I feel like this is not the place for me. I feel like I can't do this. Like number one, what am I paying for in this class right now? Like I've seen this video for free.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. You're literally showing it to me on YouTube. Like this is not exclusive content. I didn't pay $900 to watch YouTube for free.
That's a good point.
Sorry. I'm done. Like I can't do this. And then, so I quit and I dropped out of university at that point, almost near the end of my second year, because I was like, I don't see myself like finishing this and like taking it anywhere really.
Gotcha.
And I was switching my major to sport and recreation management. And it's funny because I ended up working in sport and rec management with no sport and rec management degree. So like, that's cool.
That worked out.
It worked out. I saved myself like $40,000. It was a good choice. I mean, I don't know. Like in hindsight, some days there's like, yeah, it would be kind of cool if I had that degree because I could maybe have a couple different job options. But like, I don't know that. Like I stand firm though. Like that just like was not the road I was supposed to take.
Yeah.
Because I remember sitting there like listening to the people around me being like, I feel like these narratives are like confusing me right now.
Yeah. Kind of like the disillusionment was a little bit.
Yeah, it was too much.
Shocking. Yeah.
Like I just feel like I was in like came out of a very like traumatic event. And then like had some like realizations about like myself.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. I don't recommend that program they paid us to take though. For like everybody, it's a little bit like whatever. Doesn't matter. Yeah. That's why I didn't name drop what program it was.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to each their own, right? Like,
yeah.
And somebody might be like really drawn to that program.
And I'll just let that fall into their path if it falls into their path.
Exactly.
But like, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. It's really interesting when something like lands in your lap and you're like, oh, this is why, I made this decision back then. And this is where it's leading me now. Yeah. It's been, I think you and I have talked a little bit about like manifestation and just, again, being like open to like the universe's options, the universe, fill in the gaps, universe, God, whoever, like whatever you feel is kind of like a divine leading
force.
Yeah. Because I think there's definitely something out there helping us along somehow, because it's been really wild to look back at both of our lives and be like, holy crap, like look where we are now. You never would have seen this one coming,
No.
And that's been the perspective that I've needed the last couple of years to be like, okay, things will work out. And in your hardest moments, it's hard, but to think like, okay, this moment will end and where is it going to lead me and how am I going to grow from this? And what are the things that, maybe to wrap it up in like a motherhood lesson is like, what's the legacy that I'm leaving for my kids and like them watching me move throughout my life? And
the word that drops in is just like trust.
100% trust. Yeah. And I noticed that in a lot of people that move calmly throughout life, that is basically the theme, right? It's like trust that things will work out. My divine source of guidance will like allow things to work out. I'll be able to figure out what I need to learn from the circumstance. I'll be able to seek support in ways that I need. And so that's really cool to me.
I think a really big key in that is also just being like in tune with your body And like noticing like what feels good and what doesn't feel good.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
You know, like if someone, like if you walk into a house like tomorrow or whenever you're going to go look at houses and you walk in, your body like tenses.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a sign that you're not like supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But if you like exhale and you're like, feel like more like fluid, I'm like, yeah, like that's where we're at.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Because that's what you said what you felt when you like heard about the Pilates opportunity.
Yeah, initially right? I was like, oh, that's exciting. And my body was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I felt the same thing where it's like you can start to see it and it's like, okay, it's more excitement. Like I'm sure the nerves are still there, but it's more of like an undercurrent of nerves rather than like predominant force.
Yeah. And getting out of your head long enough to like tune into what your body's trying to tell you.
I love that. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Because I think in our society a lot these days we logic everything, we get out of our bodies. And we talked about this in another episode, I think, about like certain kinds of therapies helping you kind of tune back into that. Yeah. But it can start very simple. Like you don't need to make it this huge production of just like where am I holding my breath is a good one, right? Like I've noticed in myself when I feel anxious about something or if something doesn't quite feel right, I breathe super shallowly and my neck and my shoulders start to really tense up and I feel like I'm always trying to catch my breath.
Do you want to do a really cool exercise?
Yes, let's do it. Okay. Lead me through.
Put both feet on the ground.
Okay.
Put your hands in your lap, palms up. And then you're going to connect your
pointer finger and middle finger.
Middle and
ring.
Middle finger and thumb.
Okay.
And take a breath through your nose and just notice where your breath is moving. And exhale. And then switch. So now your thumb to your ring finger on both hands. Breathe in. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Okay,
Why?
and now switch pinky finger to thumb.
Okay, can I tell you what I was
now tell me what you
tell
felt.
me if it's right.
Okay.
Is that the right answer? So I felt like as I went further down, like I started out and it felt very shallow, like felt high.
Yeah.
The breath. And then as I went to ring and then to pinky, it felt deeper.
Like it like moves down.
Yeah. What is that?
It's a yogic thing. I couldn't tell you what it is. I remember a yoga teacher showing me this once and I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
That is crazy. Because I was nervous to tell you what I was feeling. I was like, what if it's wrong? What if it's backwards?
No,
it's real.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This gets me excited to talk to your sister. Functional Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
Right? Because totally tapping in. It's all connected, guys.
It is all connected. Like if I had told you before doing that exercise, like that's why I didn't tell you what it was going to do.
Yeah.
I wanted you to experience
the bias, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Very cool.
I love it. I love this sense of energy that is here right now. And I hope our audience can feel it. Hopefully it's got your minds churning a little bit of like what else is happening in your life. If you're feeling a little stagnant, like where can you apply some energy to help things move along? And maybe we'll do part 2 to this on like some actionable items to help things move along. Because this has definitely been more of our personal experiences. But I am super passionate about like action items. Like how do I get out of this funk? And there's been just a lot of really amazing people in my life in the last couple years.
I feel like I was in a funk before we started filming this episode, and I feel like I'm in a totally different place now. Right? So like even just like getting some high vibe conversations happening, like let's go.
Yeah, we'll send this energy through the cameras to you guys.
And with that, we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
okay, much love. Bye.